Hi there, Jamie Keat here today at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm going to give a tutorial on HitFilm Express 12. So this video editor is free to use. I think it's one of the better ones out there. This is free, no watermarks on it, can be used on Windows or your Mac. If you're looking for the specs, I'll put the link down to this page that I'm on here, and you can check out the specs just by clicking here what you need on your computer. There's a little bit of a process when you go and hit download. They'll ask you to share it through social media, but then you'll get the email link and then you're good to download it and start making some great videos. So in this this is a beginner's tutorial that I'm doing here today, but I want to get through kind of the layout of it, importing your media, organizing your media, doing basic editing with HitFilm Express 12, using special effects and transitions and titles, and even getting then to the exporting if you want to put it to YouTube, or maybe you just want to download it on your computer. So let's get started here today. Everything I do is time marked down below, so you can kind of jump around to different parts. If you come back later, you can just click what you need to go. So check out the description down below for the links and the timestamps. Let's get started here today on HitFilm Express 12. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up HitFilm Express. You can see I have the icon right on my desktop. I'm using Windows 10 for today's tutorial. This is the folder that I'll be working out of. I have some videos, some images, and also some audio in here. So I'm just going to go ahead, open this up. When you open HitFilm Express, you're going to be greeted with a lot of links to different videos for examples, lots of great examples that you can apply as you're learning more and more. As I said, this is more of a beginner's tutorial. I'll create more videos dealing with specifics about HitFilm Express 12, but for today, just to get you started. So when we go ahead and start a new project, you can see in the top left-hand corner here, there's the new. If I was working on a previous project, I can go ahead and hit open here. I also have under the menu, I can do the same thing here by creating new or opening. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit new, and I get the new project settings. So this is where you can adjust depending on what project settings you want. You can just go through and pick if you wanted to do an Instagram video, or maybe you wanted 720p on this. You can go ahead, you can see as I change this, the width and the height with the pixels changed on this. If you ever want to go just back to the original defaults, if you can't remember what that was, just hit restore defaults. And you also have your audio sample rate that you can choose. I'm just leaving it all the same, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Once you hit OK, what you're going to be greeted with all the panels inside HitFilm Express 12. Now I'm just going to import some media right away into the media panel so I can kind of show you all the different things with the layouts here. Now down in the left hand corner, this is where I'm going to import my media. This is the media panel, and to do this, you can see I have an import right here. There's a few different ways you can import your media into this. So if I hit import, now this already brings me to the folder that I showed you that I'd already opened previously, and that has my footage that I want in it. So I can click on one of these and I can bring it in and hit open, and as soon as I do this, the media clip down here is in the trimmer up here, so I could preview it just here in the trimmer. So this, I haven't put anything into my editing yet, but this allows me to preview it here. Now if you just wanted to double click in here, it also will open up different clips. You can see I have things from images here. I can select different ones. I can select multiple ones and put it in like so. This is an image, this one here, and as I scroll down, you can see the audio is here. Another way you can do it, if I just go ahead and open up a window here, let's say we have this open, I can just go ahead and drag in, if I wanted this one, I could drag things right into here also. So there's many different ways that you can import your media in. They'll all do the same thing. Once you bring it in, you can see you can do a list view here. So if you wanted just to see the names on this one and the icon to kind of quickly to show, you can see this is audio. And this one is an image with the videos beside it also. You can also kind of organize things a little bit better in the media panel here by creating new folders. So if I was going to click new folder, I can name this. So if I was just calling this video, and then what I can do is drag my video inside these. So I could go ahead and create one for images, I could create one for audio, and this way I could just be a little bit more organized when I bring things in. At any time, if you want to see the on each of your media assets, if you want to just see the settings on those, the properties, if I go ahead and click on it, on this little gear right here, you can see it will show me my frame rate of that particular one. And what you'll notice is that the frame rate of certain ones of these videos might not match my project settings, but when I drag it over, you can choose to make sure that they're the same on it. So if you want to check the properties, just remember this little gear that you can go through and check each one. So now that we've brought our brought everything in, or the media that we're going to use, let's go ahead and just start some editing here. So now I've brought in my media, and I've I created other folders. You can see I have my audio, image, and videos, and I brought all the other videos, and I've organized everything just so it's a little easier to work with and find. You can have that choice of your thumbnail image. I'm going to keep it to my list view just so I can see more here. But the other thing I just want to mention too, before you have your footage imported, maybe do a save. So it's always good to have it saved. So the first time you could do a save as, or it will do a save as if it is your first time, and then you can just I'll just call this tutorial. I'm going to save it on my desktop like so, and then it can just save as I go on, because if it crashed, I want to make sure that I have my maybe hours of work backed up there. So what I'm going to do now is just some other adjustments. If you wanted to preview, now I've showed you how when you click on these different ones, it will show in the trimmer up here. You can change the size around here by just going through, when you get your handles, when you get that and then you drag, if you wanted to see something in a different size, you can go through and make the adjustment. So if I wanted my editor timeline down here, so I just drag to see wherever I get that handle and I drag it up, then I could have more of my tracks here. So same thing with my media panel over here. If I wanted to see more of that, or if I wanted to see more of my editor, it's there. Now I'm going to be dragging footage into the editor timeline. There are two different types of timeline in HitFilm. We have our editor timeline and our composite timeline. The composite is kind of working in a multiple layer clip where you can add effects and everything. I won't be diving into the composite a lot, but I'll be talking more about just this editor timeline in this beginners one here, where we're going to be working with the different tracks and bringing them over into this spot to do our editing. So now that we have our footage, we have it organized, we've saved our project, let's go ahead and bring some footage into our editor timeline. Now the first way I'm going to show you how to do this is if I go up to, I'm going to just go to this one with the puppy playing on the beach. Let's say if I'm watching it in the trimmer window here, what I can do is I can watch it up here. If I get to a certain point where I'm like, this is where I want to start my clip when I bring it into my editor, so do some editing even prior, what I can do is use this in marker in point here. So I make an in point. Notice how this disappeared behind it, and I could watch it for a little bit more. And I get to a certain part, and then I can, let's say I'll pause it and I do an out point. Now it's just this part that I've marked in. So at this point, I can add it to my, insert my clip to my editor timeline. One thing to note, so my playhead's over here. If I hit insert, and right now it's going to say, oh, do you want to match your frame rate and everything, just like I mentioned before, that these clips might be different. I'm just going to say yes on this one. Notice that my playhead was right here, and that's where it was inserted. So if I was bringing it, if my playhead was over here, I can also just drag it down from here. So if I drag it down, I could put it anywhere I want. But if I put it through here, notice my playhead where it got inserted was right by my playhead. Now I just brought in 3 instances of it. The original file was never changed. If I show you the original file, I'll just drag it over. So another way I can bring to my timeline is just to drag things over. This was the original footage right here. You can see how much longer it is. So I'm going to just go ahead. I could drag my playhead over one of these clips, and you can see this is the shortened clip right here that I did my editing on. If you want to delete any of these ones, so of course I wouldn't want all these ones I just brought in, this is the selection tool here, and as I select different ones, you can see how they're highlighted. At this point I could hit delete on if I select it, hit delete, it goes away. I can select also multiple. If I just drag and select everything like this, I can move them all around at once, or I could hit delete and they're all gone too. So that's just your first steps of bringing things over to the timeline. So I'm going to bring back actually the full length of this one, bring it into my video one timeline here. So I'm just bringing it right to the start here. So the one thing I just want to talk about are layers and kind of the sequence. So if you're bringing things over to your timeline, you're just going to sequence them in the order that you want. So if I was bringing this one over here, this down below says that there's audio. I know there's no audio on this one. So if I go ahead and play this, you play them in order that I'm just going to move ahead so it doesn't play the whole thing. It will switch as I watch my playhead go across. It moves it over here like so. Now if I'm going to delete this one again here. If I'm going to put something in the above track, and so what's going to happen, it's only going to show the above track. So if I take this one right here, the waves, and I drag it, and I'm just going to drag it above, and notice what happened, it created a video 2. So with the video 2, if I play it, now if you're new to video editing, this is an important thing to know. With this program and most programs, the bottom layer, if you put something on top of it, it won't be seen. So do note if maybe you're doing that on purpose, but if you're not seeing a certain one that you want, maybe you have the layers covering up. So now I can put in a different track like this and go ahead and play it, and it will switch over. But do note that when you play it like this, that you're only going to see the top layer if you put them on top of each other. So let's do some basic editing now with HitFilm Express. So I'm just going to bring back some video again, some of the clips that you've already saw. I'm going to bring this one back over into video 1. And again, I'm going to just say yes, you can match it. I'm going to drag my playhead back. And then if I hit play, notice it's the loud sound. Maybe I don't want the waves and everything when I'm working on this, if it's a bit of a distraction. When I brought this video in, you can see that the audio is underneath. If I go ahead and just click on this like so, and now hit play again, I didn't delete the audio, but I muted it. So I could be working on it. If I didn't want to hear the audio all the time, I could just go ahead and hit mute. I could unmute it, and it's playing again. So in this one, if I didn't want to see a video, so I'm going to leave this as mute here. Maybe I bring in another video and I'll put this up on this track. If I was playing it, maybe I don't want to see this video to this one. All I have to do is click the eye here, and now actually I'll turn the audio back on. If I hit play, you can see the audio is still there, and then if it would keep playing and showing this one, because I have this video track I've turned off so you can't view it. So if I bring this one down into here, notice it doesn't preview in it here, but this track is fine because I still have the eye turned on. So you can just click on a few of these here when you're, depending if you want to see something or hear something, remember those two options to quickly turn it off. So I'm going to zoom up a little bit. The one thing that at the very bottom you can see there's this zoom tool. So what this does is allows me to zoom up on a clip, so you can see it kind of zooms up. I'm going to move my playhead over, and this just allows me to get maybe if there's some cutting I want to do at a certain point, allows me to kind of go frame by frame a little bit easier and to kind of see just it more close up. Now this audio is bothering me. I don't even want this audio in here. If I try to click on it and move it, notice it's all linked together. But what I can do in HitFilm Express is actually just right click on it, and you can see there's an unlink here. So if I go ahead and hit the unlink, now if I just click off it and click back on it, notice I can actually move this around. So I could take this and actually just go ahead and delete the audio. So now if I go ahead and play it, I have no more audio in it. So if you do want to remove the audio, just unlink it, then delete it like so. So now I did some little bit of editing, took away the audio on this one. You can also do some quick trims on this too. So if I go ahead and click on this, make sure you have it selected. So if I have this selected, notice when I go to the ends, and I'll go to both ends here, I get the handles like so. What this allows me to do, I can quickly hold and then drag in, and I trimmed it. So just like kind of up where I used the trimmer before to do my in and outs, I can trim from the ends and do it that way. So if I drag it back, it puts it back like so, but I can't make it longer. If I go past the point, I can only make it as long as it ever was. So that's just some quick trims. If you know you want to trim the ends, just quickly drag it from each end. Now the other thing is, when you're doing trims and everything, you might want to just undo your previous steps. Take a look at the history over here. Notice I can go back and just click on the back steps and it puts it back. So don't be worried if you've worked on something for a bit and you've made a mistake. Just go back using the history over here. So I'm just going to go back to my media here, and now the next thing I want to show you is, let's say if you want to cut something in the middle, what you can do is use this tool right here. So this is the slice tool. So if I go ahead and click the slice tool, and I want to get rid, so I can play this for a bit, maybe I want to stop it right there, and I'm just going to slice it. Now it didn't delete anything, it just sliced it, and I can go ahead and hit play. You can kind of see that there's a line there. I could go back to my move tool and take this piece out, move it to the different layer, or move it to the front like so, or I can put it right back to there. If I hit play, since it's side by side, there's no gap, it'll just look like normal. But the other thing I can do, if there's something I want to slice out in the middle, what I can do is use my slice tool again. I'll bring it to a spot, slice this, and now you have my selection tool, select it, and hit delete. So now I've taken out something in the middle. Now at this point, there's this gap in here. If I was playing it, we'll just play black when I get to it. This might be where you want to join your clips like so. So those are some basic trimming techniques for editing inside the timeline editor here. You can use just drag from the ends or use your razor tool. And also what I've showed you before, using the trimmer window to do your ins and outs to get the specific footage that you want. A couple of the other tools that I just wanted to bring attention to inside the timeline editor would be the snap tool. So down below here is, right now it's on blue, so it's turned on. So what the snap tool allows you to do, if I drag close to it, it will just snap to the edge of the other one. So it makes it easy to kind of fill that gap in between them. If you bring things over top, so if I keep dragging it, it actually cuts the other video. So I took these of the wave and put it over top of the puppy. Now if I drag it away, notice that it's trimmed it. So do be aware, if you overlap them like that, it will do a cut like that. If I turn off the snap tool, you can see now it just slides easily. It doesn't snap into place. So the snap tool is nice because it allows you just to kind of connect it to the end quite quickly. I'll just go back a few steps here with some Control Z. What I want to show you now is just this tool here is the ripple tool. So what this will allow you to do is, now I've showed you just dragging the ends before and it left kind of a gap when you trimmed it. So what this allows you to do, if I grab this, when I drag it back, I'm trimming this one, it just fills in the gap right away. So versus this one, when I just grab the ends and I drag it, notice the gap stays. So those are just a couple tools for beginners that can just speed up your editing for you. But do play around with some of the other tools. You'll see how you use them just by clicking on them and dragging over, and you'll give you that extra information. Maybe you want to change the speed of something. So in this case, if I go to, I'm going to go to my intro, and I'm going to bring my intro over here, and I'm going to match it again. So I know my intro in its full, it's very slow. It's about 10 seconds. I never play it like that. And I want to speed this up. So what you do is you right click on it and then you can see all these different options that you want, but I want to go to set speed and duration. When I click on that, so what's the speed I want? Well, this is where you can adjust it, and you can see the duration is changing as I decrease. So if I wanted to go faster, I need to go above 100%. If I wanted to go slower, I move it down below. So I want, in this case, I want it to go above 100%. So let's say if I put in 150, and you can see how it shortened it like so. But if that wasn't quite enough, if I wanted to go, maybe I'll go to 200%, and maybe at 4 seconds. So at this point, if I hit play again, it's a little bit faster. Now I could keep adjusting those settings depending on how I wanted to. Now another thing you can do to make some settings, so if I go to this footage right here, I'm going to drag this one over with a couple walking on the beach and just kind of show you. Notice what's happening here as I play it. This is zoomed out and this one's zoomed in. This is a little bit different, so maybe I want this one, want it to be in the original format. You can see if I go over here and click the properties, and I can check the properties any of these. If I click on it, notice that the size of this one is a lot larger at 4096 by 2160. So maybe I want this to fit in my 19 by 20 by 1080p. What I can do is right click on this one, and now at this one I can go transform and fit to frame. So what it does now, it will match it to this one like so, and then as I play it, it plays it back like so. So those are just some options to make some adjustments to this. I could keep changing the size of this too. When any of these, if you want them smaller, you can drag this like so. And notice how you got to be careful when you drag the corners when you're sizing, because notice if I make it square, it's distorting this. So if I go back to my history and undo a few things again, what I can do, if I hold my shift key as I shrink it, it stays in the proportions quickly, where I don't have to worry about skewing it like that. And I can move this around the screen. And you might wonder why you'd want to do something like this. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so we can see it. I'm going to grab the corner here again and bring it in. Now I'm going to bring this up one layer. And what I'm going to do now is, and this just kind of goes, I'm going to go back to another media. If I go back to this one right here with the puppy, and I bring the puppy underneath, notice now what I have here is I have kind of a picture in a picture. So I can actually see the bottom layer, even though this is on top. I scaled this down. So I can select on it. I can move it around more. I could put in a different size. But if you wanted to do kind of that picture in picture effect, that's how you could do it. It's just create that and make it a little bit smaller like so. I just want to bring in an image and some audio now to show you how to quickly add those. Now I'm going to go to my image folder, and I just have one that I'm going to bring in here, and I'm going to drag it over, and you can see this is just a picture, and right away it doesn't fit. It's larger, so I can quickly make those adjustments in the transform to fit to screen. Now on this one, what I want to do now, so with an image, I can stretch out an image for as long as I want it. So if I wanted to play for 2 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, you just stretch it for as long or as short as you want it, and you can put it in any of these video tracks just like any of the video. Now the next thing I'm going to bring in is my audio. So if I have my audio down here, and I have a couple examples, so maybe I bring in this Wicked Surf one, and I bring it, and it's going to start right here. So I line it up, and then if I go ahead and play it, now maybe that's too loud, so you can quickly make the adjustments on it by just grabbing this line right here. So if I wanted it quieter, bringing it down, and you can see on the control on the side that it's on the meters, it's a lot less right now. So depending on how you want to do this. Now with this audio, you can also cut it with the razor tool like we've done before. With the video, you can slice and take parts out of it. You can do your trimming from the end. It works very similar to the video, and you can have multiple audio tracks that you can have many playing at once. Another thing you can do with your audio is to add some effects to it if you wanted to fade in, fade out. So if I bring this one up a bit, and if I go over to my effects over here, you can see that there's transitions audios. So if I want to maybe fade this one out, I can drag it over. And if I hit play now, you can see how it just kind of faded out and at the end. Now I can, what I can do is if I zoom up on this so you can see a little bit better on this fade. Well, another tool I was going to show you too, this hand, is when you're working with your footage, and especially as it gets longer, the drag tool is a handy one because I can just drag it over to get to the exact spot that I want. And this is the transition that I just added in. If you wanted to make any adjustments to this, if I wanted to delete it, I could just hit delete on it. Or if I wanted it longer, I could go to the edge like this and drag it. So then that fade out becomes longer on it. So that's how you can add some audio, do some quick trimming just like the video, and then adding those transitions to it too. So let's move back over to the video now, and we're going to add some transitions to those. So I'm going to zoom out here so we can see more of this again. And I'm going to shorten the picture because I don't need the picture this long, so I'm going to just shorten it down. Let's say to here. So now I'm going to add video back again. So I'm going to go back to my media, and this time we'll just go back to my video folder, and I'm going to choose, well, I'll choose the puppy again, and I'll put it on the beach. And we can do a transition between picture to video or to video to video. So I'm going to add another video just right after it here. Oops, I didn't want, yeah, this one will work. And so if I go over to the effects again, you can see that I had transitions audio. If I look underneath it, I have transition video. So I could take these here, I could open them up, and they have different dissolves on these ones or different motions. But I'll just use a cross dissolve, and I'm going to drag it over between these two right here. So if I hit play on this, and you can see now when it goes and switches between the two, I have that cross dissolve. Now again, I could zoom up on that. You can see here it is. If I wanted a longer cross dissolve, I could move it like this and move it back and hit play, and that cross dissolve just is a little slower as it moves between the two of them. So that's how you add the transitions. And remember what I said, you could do this in between your images too. So if I go back to my effects over here, take this cross dissolve, I can add it between an image and a picture too, just like that. So very easy to add to your audio and to your video, the transitions. So next, let's add a little text. When adding text, look up in the viewer. You can see that the A will be here. So when you select that, go ahead and click on the frame that you want to add it to, or onto the layer. It's going to create a new layer where it's going to add the text. And I'm just going to type, I'll say beach vacation, like so. And at this time, I could go and move it around and place it anywhere I want. You can see down here, it created this new layer. I can also move this to wherever I want. If I move the playhead, wherever that goes, it's a beach vacation. Now, if I want to make adjustments to the text, just go over down to the media panel, and when you just kind of scroll through, you can find text, and this is where you can start to change if you wanted a different font, maybe you wanted a different size. I'll just quickly make it larger here. Let's put this to 100. Or a little bit over 100, and you can see as I go through, I can make other adjustments to things like the color and so on. So you can get it to just where you would like, just by setting up whether you want it, how you want it aligned. But remember, you can move this to wherever you would like on this, and also when it's on this layer, you can move this wherever you would like to. So that's just a way to insert some text inside HitFilm Express. Before we get into our exporting and finishing up our project today, let's do a little adding some special effects. So I'm going to go over to the effects tab in the panel, and I'm going to go to, first I'm going to go to this one, this particles and simulation here, and I'm going to add some lightning and electricity to this. So I'm going to drag this, and I'm doing this in a simple way. You could get more into effects with a composite shot, but for beginner's video, I think this is a perfect way to kind of just start with this. So if we're going to drag this over, and I'm going to drag it to this beach one and just drop it right on top, you can see now if I hit play, there's a little bit of lightning that's on top of this, or it's inside the clip here. I can do some adjustments to this now. So if I go over to this and open this up, I can change the amounts of seeds. So if I want a little bit more for trunks, and I could go ahead and hit play again, and you can see how it's adapting. I can also move it. So if I take this, you can see that I can stretch this out. I can move it around and place it in different spots depending on how small or how large I would like it. Because you could have it start at a certain size in the video clip and have it grow through it. You can see with the start and end of this. So I'm not going to go through all these options. You can go through and take a look and play with different ones, but that's how quickly you can add some special effects. So take a look at all the effects that you can add in here just by under this effects tab here. I'm going to add one more effects, and that's going to be the green screen here, and I'm going to use the same clip on the beach. I don't have anything on this one. I'm going to go back this time to my media, and I'm going to go grab I have a green screen media one here. I just got to remember, there it is. So I'm going to drag this one to the top layer. So when you're working with green screen, you need to drag it to the top layer, and then your bottom layer is going to be the background. Now what I'm going to do, so if you notice, I have this explosion here on this, so I'm going to just drag down the volume because it's a little bit loud, and so I'm going to drag it, and you can see it's a green screen explosion. I'm going to get rid of the green, so I'm going to add another effect to this. So this time when I'm under the effects, what you're going to go to is, so you go to your keying and go down to your hue and RGB key, just drag this over top of it. Now right away you notice it went see-through on the explosion. That's not what I want. I need to adjust it to make the green go away. But all I have to do is open this up and see this where it says color. Just click on the, oops, sorry, click OK there. Click on the eyedropper, click and hold, and bring this over, and then let go, and then the green disappears. And so if I hit play now, I have this explosion. I can go back. I can adjust this. So maybe I want the tolerance to be, so if it wasn't quite right, or maybe I want less tolerance on it, I can make an adjustment. You can see how some green comes in. You make the adjustments to make what works best for you. You can also go and transform this, remember too. So if I wanted to scale this, make sure if I'm on this layer, if I move this around, you can see I can grab the edges like I showed you before. I could shrink down this explosion, or I could make it larger and place it to where I want. So that's important to understand with layers and green screen, what you want as your background versus what you the green on top of it, and how to, and HitFilm Express, how to get rid of this. So you can see we have an explosion on the beach using green screen. I just downloaded this clip from a free website, and you can do a lot of searching online to get some royalty-free ones to play around with. So now that we've kind of gone over the basics of HitFilm Express 12, let's get to the exporting and finishing this off so we can either send it to YouTube or download it on to your computer. So let's say you're all done your project and you want to make sure you can export it correctly, because right now it's just a HitFilm Express project. So you got to make sure you export it and save it as whether the right settings, whether you go to YouTube or depending on the setting you want. So what you need to do is go over to here where it says export and click on export. Now there's in and out areas if you didn't want to do the whole thing, but I'm going to do the contents this time right here, and I'm going to go to contents of it and go to export, because I'm done working at this point. Now you can see right here, if I wanted to do an in and out point, if I knew the times, I could select the times and put them in here. So maybe I wanted it from 3 minutes to 4 minutes and 22 seconds. I could put that in and get a certain part of that video to export. But for my purposes, I want to export the whole thing. And now what I do is, and once it's already here, it goes down into the queue getting ready for to start exporting. You can choose where you want to save it, and you can choose your format. So you can see I'm under YouTube 1080p HD. I can make changes. Here's the presets that are already there. I could make a new preset if I want, but for me, these presets work well. My stuff goes to YouTube, so this is what I would want here. If I want to make sure I know where I'm saving the file to, you just select this right through here, and you could pick a different path. So I could have it in a different folder, and then so I know when I'm uploading to YouTube, I know exactly where I've saved it, and then I can upload it to my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to save it here. Now I haven't started exporting yet. Once I have all the settings that I want, what I need to do is go down to the very bottom where you can see where it says start exporting. So if I go ahead and hit start exporting, it will give me a start time and then the elapsed time. So right now it's running through the project, the film that I just did, that I did through this tutorial today, and it's exporting it out, so it'd be all ready for me to go to YouTube and upload it or watch it as an MP4 file. So I hope this tutorial today on HitFilm Express has kind of got you understanding how it works. Let me know if there's other specifics about HitFilm you'd want to learn about. I want to go in more details about the composite layers and everything too on that type of timeline, but let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching this week, and I'll see you next time on Teachers Tech.